He enlisted back in the Marine Corps in 1981 and went to MCRD San Diego. Yes, it's okay to call him a Hollywood Marine, just not to his face. By the way, I too am a Hollywood Marine, and many of us are here, and we're proud of that. He was trained as an electronic intelligence analyst, where he worked on high-end systems. I want to make sure I get this right. On the Tactical Electronic Reconnaissance Processing Evaluation System, otherwise known as TERPES. In other words, he was doing the cool James Bond stuff, you know, that we see in the movies. As an enlisted leader, he climbed to the ranks of Staff Sergeant and served at Cherry Point, North Carolina, and Point Mugu, California. He deployed to Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. He's also a MISAF selectee and went to the University of Arizona and got commissioned through there. He is an infantry officer, and during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, he was part of Task Force Ripper. If you don't know, this task force was the lead task force in the drive up to Kuwait and was responsible for smashing through Iraqi armory units and infantry units, and the destruction of over 100 Iraqi tanks, 50 Soviet T-72 tanks, numerous armored personnel carriers, and numerous enemy casualties. Later on, he reported to MCRD San Diego Recruit Training Regiment. This is really a full circle for this leader to come back there. At one point, he stood on the yellow footprints there as a recruit, and now he's back as an officer training all the recruits at Recruit Training Regiment. He deployed with 1 MEF in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. This is Iraq the second time around, and he served there multiple tours with the G3. Our guest of honor has commanded at every level in the Marine Corps, from the fire team leader level to the squad leader, from a platoon leader to company commander multiple times. He was the battalion commander at Infantry Training Battalion, Camp Pendleton, and as a colonel, he commanded Weapons and Field Training Battalion, Paris Island. And now, he's the OICN commander of EOTG, the Expeditionary Operations and Training Group, formerly known as SOTG, or better known as School of Tough Guys. And he's a tough guy, certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a warm Marine welcome to Colonel Daniel H. Wilson.
Speech is going to be, which is good news to most of the young Marines, I'm sure. Good evening, Marines, sailors, family, friends, guests of 3rd Intel Battalion. Happy 240th Marine Corps birthday to each and every one of you. It's an honor and a privilege to share this celebration with you, and I thank Lieutenant Colonel Aziz and the Marines and sailors of 3rd Intel Battalion for this unique opportunity. I would like to recognize all the spouses here tonight. If you would, please stand. But it's even tougher being a spouse of a Marine or sailor. Amen. You do so much that rarely gets the recognition it deserves. And I want to especially thank you for all that you do to support the Marines and sailors of 3rd Intel Battalion. Thank you. If you had a hand in putting the ball together or supported it in any way, would you please stand up? Band who came to provide pleasing music to our ears. Your presence transforms great events into extraordinary ones. Thank you for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is our annual celebration of the birth of our beloved Corps. We recognize our roots, tracing back to a bar in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Sun Tavern. We recognize our traditions, our successes, and most importantly, we recognize the sacrifices of our predecessors and fellow Marines who have shed their blood and in some cases given the ultimate sacrifice of their lives on behalf of our Corps and country. Who are you really as Marines? Rhetorical question, don't answer that. Quite simply, you are the 1%ers of American society. Less than 1% of our fellow Marines or citizens will ever serve in any branch of the military, and only a fraction of that will serve as United States Marines. I hope, like me, you're very proud of that title. My father was a Baptist preacher, so I'm familiar with the Christian concept of being born again. The day I graduated from boot camp, Friday, the 2nd of October, 1981, I felt like my life had been transformed and that I was born again as a United States Marine. I was on top of the world, and I felt like there was nothing that I couldn't accomplish or handle. It was the proudest moment of my life, so I'm sure it was yours. I suspect many of you felt the same way when you earned the title United States Marine following your final crucible hike, when your drill instructor presented you with an Eagle Globe and anchor. It's not an easy path to become a United States Marine. I got some first-hand knowledge of that when I was on recruiting duty as a commanding officer of Recruiting Station San Diego from 2001 through 2004. I had top-notch Marines sent to me to walk the streets of our area of operations and recruit the next generation of warriors for our Corps. Marines like Master Sergeant Holmes, who is now a member of 3rd Intel Battalion. In my 3 years of recruiting duty, most of the time we had to deny enlistment to a young man or woman because they just did not make the cut. They were in some way disqualified from becoming a Marine. It may have been due to not meeting the educational, physical, mental, or moral standards. Whatever the reason for denial, it was heartbreaking for recruiters like Master Sergeant Holmes to have to break the bad news to the kids, especially to the kids who had had a lifelong dream of becoming a Marine. You all made that recruiting cut and went on to earn the title United States Marine, a true 1%er. Even members of our sister services are envious of you and what you represent. I've served with Army Rangers who are jealous of the Marine Corps' unifying ethos of every Marine a rifleman, because they don't have a similar unifying ethos in the Army. I've had a naval officer tell me that she would stay in active service if only she could continue serving with Marines. And in fact, in her last ball season, she wants to go to as many Marine Corps balls as possible. So when you get a chance, please say hi to Dr. Julie Melman, U.S. Navy. She's going to go to 6 Marine Corps balls, and this is going to be her first, setting the standard as the best that she attends. Wishfully mention how we have the most awesome looking uniforms of all. What you now do for the Marine Corps is critically important to our commanders and in planning for current and future operations. Each of you is responsible for a piece of the intelligence puzzle that demystifies the enemy and provides clarity to his intentions. Each and every piece of the puzzle, no matter how large or small, is of vital importance. Who knows what you're working on today or tomorrow may end up being as important as cracking the Nazis' Enigma machine in World War II that shortened the World War by years, saving millions of lives. For all your contributions, know that I, for one, recognize that they are very important. This simple infantryman is very appreciative of what you bring to the table, and I've benefited several times through the years from your insights in tough situations. In Desert Storm as a heavy machine gun platoon commander, my platoon and I knew the exact layout of the obstacle belts in Kuwait and the fighting ability of the Iraqi soldiers, thanks to our Intel Marines. As an operational planner with 1 MEF Forward in October 2004, we were able to develop a good attack plan for the second Battle of Fallujah, Operation Al-Fajr. Thanks again to our Intel Marines providing us with enemy locations, center of gravity, and likely intentions. Having walked in your shoes early on in my career, I know that quite often the rest of the Corps has no clue what you really do or what you're working on day to day. This former Intel analyst knows and appreciates your efforts. I know that what you do is critical to 3MEF and to our Corps. What you do today and tomorrow will echo through eternity. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Sherif and 3rd Intel Battalion, for allowing me to share in your celebration this evening. I look forward to meeting many of you through the rest of this evening and as I run into you around Camp Hansen. Happy birthday, Marines, and Semper Fidelis.